Hey guys, Joseph here with Engadget, and I have in my hands something that many of you may have been anticipating. We're here with Samsung, and they're showing us the update to this, which is the GS3, which was inspired by nature. And now what you're looking at here is the Galaxy S4. Yes, that's the actual number 4, not the Roman numeral, and as you can see, it's inspired by the GS3. From a really quick glance, you can see that there's not much difference in the design aesthetic. In fact, it kind of looks like the GS4 is a more stretched out version, and that's because this now sports a 5-inch display, and yes, it is 1080p. It is a full HD Super AMOLED panel, so Samsung's saying that's a first, and it's quite vibrant. If you want to look at this from the side, we're looking at a 7.9mm thickness, which makes it just a hair thinner than the GS3. It's also just a bit lighter at 130 grams versus the 133 of the Galaxy S3. Now, I'm just going to quickly turn it around to the back so you can see they're both white. This is what Samsung is calling frost white, but it's actually a much more pure and vivid white, much more cleaner than what you're going to see here on the GS3 or the Note 2. And of course, since this doesn't have any sort of carrier branding on it, it falls in line with the other designs you've seen on Samsung's global products. Right here and back, that is a 13 megapixel camera, so right away you know it is a bump up from the 8 megapixel on here. And part of the story for the GS4 is the enhanced camera, which Samsung is really stressing. So we'll just go into that really quickly, show you here. You can hear the little sounds, they're no longer water inspired. Then we'll go straight into the camera and you can see that it has an interface that it borrows, we tap here on mode, from the Galaxy camera. So you're looking at the mode wheel that you can scroll through. You have options for panorama, something Samsung is calling eraser, so that if there are photo bombers in the background, as you can see highlighted here in pink, or sort of noise or motion blur, you can take a couple burst shots, tap on that highlighted portion, and remove it from your final shot. Now, the other big innovation in the camera is that it does a dual recording and dual shot mode. So if you want, you can go ahead and tap this icon, and what it's going to do, we can affect it, is it's going to pop up an option over here which we can scroll through a template. So this is the stamp option, but you can do oval blur, there's a heart shape, and what it does is it'll take the front-facing image and it'll put it there, which we can also swap around if we tap on this icon. And so you can take photos, whatnot, include yourself. There's also dual recording, and that does 1080p video as well. A few other notable things that come in the camera portion are Cinema Shot, which will allow you to use a burst mode, basically. And another notable thing that the camera software includes is Drama Shot, which will use burst mode basically to create an animated GIF for you. There will also be something that they're calling Sound and Shot, which will take a still photo and do about up to 9 seconds of audio. So let's just take a quick tour of the front face of the device, since we haven't gotten to that before. So up here you can see there are a range of sensors. That's the 2 megapixel front-facing camera. Down here, the same sort of home button layout, except the home button here is a bit blockier. It's more rectangular. It doesn't have that sort of stylized curving of the GS3. And again, the capacitive buttons for back. Let's see if we can turn it on. For back and for the taskbar are there, but they're hidden when you're not affecting them. Over here on the right, you can see there is the volume rocker and a little notch here to pull off the removable back. And we should note that underneath there's a 2600 milliamp hour battery, which is again just a slight bump up from the GS3. And if you're sort of getting the notion here that this is just an evolution to the GS3, well, you've cottoned on to exactly what the GS4 is overall. Down here you can see the speaker grill, same allotment as you're seeing on the Note 2. And then here on the left side is a more elongated, it's a bit thinner, more refined looking volume rocker. At the base, you have your micro USB port that is also MHL compatible. Now, the phone will come in 16, 32, and 64 gigabyte iterations. There's also the option for micro SD expansion up to 64 gigabytes, so you should have more than enough memory. Now, one of the things you're probably all wondering is what exactly is the processor inside? And right now, we can't specify the whole story because Samsung hasn't shared that with us yet, but we do know that there will be an Exynos 5 Octa version and some unspecified Snapdragon. It's all depending on regional availability. And as this is a global pre-production model, we can't specify just what we're using. But as you can see, navigation is pretty smooth, although it doesn't seem as mind-blowing as an Exynos 5 Octa should. Alright, so a couple of other new innovations that Samsung's put in here, and we're going to see if we can show you, is a bunch of gestures. They're building upon what they did in the GS3 before, and so you're getting things, maybe if we can pull up Flipboard, we could show this to you. It's building it right now. But you can actually go ahead, and if you tap, or actually if you hover, AirView now works with your finger. As you can see here, we had to get pretty close, but it'll show up a preview. Just hover over Flipboard and you can see it pulls up preview, and then if we hover very closely on one of those, it should affect bringing up the actual article. Now another thing that should be enabled, and you can go ahead and if you pull down for notifications, you'll see this icon grid here. You can go ahead and turn all these on and off. It's a very simple way to toggle them, especially for users that might be overwhelmed by what you're seeing. And while we're in here, we can just go through it really quickly and show you. You still have S-Beam, you still have NFC, you have AirView, which is enabled, which allows you to sort of hover your hand, Air Gesture, which allows you to hover over, up, down, left, or right to scroll through articles. AirView Smart Stay, which unfortunately does not have the eye tracking you've all heard about. What it does is it uses facial recognition to acknowledge when you're tilting the phone up or down to scroll. So we'll go ahead and see if we can show you some of that. Now if we go back to the home screen and pull up the browser here, just by simply waving our hand up or down, we can scroll up and down the screen. We can also go side to side if the camera picks it up, and scroll through different pages within the browser. Now this also works in the gallery as well. A couple of other software features that Samsung has sort of crammed onto the GS4 is S-Translator, which it's baking into a bunch of apps, which will come with support for 10 languages, and also something they're calling S-Help to effectively make the GS4 work as a pedometer for you. Can also, right here you can see, it'll track your goals, your steps. There's a caloric index you can use. There's a sensor for humidity, temperature in here as well. And to pair with this, there's a whole bunch of accessories that Samsung has sort of created. There's the S-Band, which is similar to something like the Jawbone Up, which sort of dupes the functionality of this and will sync with it over Bluetooth 4.0. There's also a scale, for those of you that want to take it to the extreme. And we should note, just in general, as an accessory, the new flip cover for this looks much similar to the Note 2 and GS3, except it has a cutout preview window here, which will let you look at your alerts, any sort of notifications, look at music, and as well as reject calls. So, for now, we know that the GS4 will be launching in Q2, and in the US it will be on all the major carriers, so that's AT&T, Sprint, that's T-Mobile, that's Verizon, as well as on Cricket and US Cellular. Again, we don't know what regions are going to be getting the Exynos 5 Octa or the Snapdragon variants, but Samsung will elaborate that on a bit later. So that's it. This is the Samsung Galaxy S4. Joseph with Engadget. Thanks for watching.